week we're going to be talking about the personal tutor system and a bit about a campaign that we got going on at the moment. So let's do introductions. Luke, go ahead.
Yeah, hello everyone. I know you've seen myself and Hannah last week where we discussed Christmas. Was it Goujons, Hannah?
Yeah, that was Goujons.
But it's myself is the Vice President of Societies and Volunteering, but we're joined with two today. Do you want to do introductions and talk a little bit about your role as well?
Georgie, do you want to go ahead?
Hey, yeah. Hello everyone. I am Georgie. I am really terrible at this sort of thing, so I apologise in advance. I am Vice President Welfare and Campaigns this year, so that just means I'm kind of behind the scenes of all things welfare, I guess.
Jane?
Honestly, Georgie, I don't think you're behind the scenes at all.
Okay, I'm there.
Hi everyone, my name is Jane. I'm the Student Union Vice President for Postgraduate students for this year, and well, just for this year, really.
Thank you both for coming today and being here.
So on the meeting today, Hannah, on the agenda, if you like, is the Personal Tutor Week campaign. Now, obviously, you guys posted on it. I'm more the activity side, so not as in the loop on this. So do you guys want to introduce and tell students about what this week is about and what the Personal Tutor campaign is, really?
I think it's been ongoing for quite some time. The others will be able to back me up on this. Like when we first started, it was like, okay, I don't even know where it came from. We all just had similar manifestos, and we were just like, okay, let's put in a regular meeting and go ahead. I know, Georgie, you have the preference system idea. Tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, one of my manifesto points was having a personal tutor preference system. I think stemming from a lot of my friends' experiences with personal tutors, because sometimes you just get thrown in people that you just don't click with, and I think that was where Hannah came up with if you don't click, don't stick, because even though the preference system was going to take a lot of kind of manufacturing and creating, we thought that this thing was a really good kind of step up to it and a bit of a leg up to letting students know that if you don't get on with a personal tutor, that is completely fine. You're not going to click with everyone that you get kind of assigned to, so you do have the opportunity to actually get rid of them.
Almost the way in which people just either kind of get along and click or they don't. Everyone looks at different things, and I think we have such big ideas, like Georgie mentioned, for the personal tutor system, and they're still ongoing. But we just wanted to do something. A partnership project that happened a while ago with some sabbatical officers in the university came about this personal tutor policy, and a part of that states that you can request to change your personal tutor by getting in touch with your school, and you don't have to provide a reason for the first time you change. And why not shout about it if people aren't aware and they're kind of just going through university with someone they don't click with? You don't click, don't stick.
And we always say personal tutors are kind of your first port of call in your academic school. So if anyone is kind of with my welfare hat on, if anyone is they are your first member of academic staff that you should feel able to kind of go to and have a chat with and say I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, or I want a bit of guidance. It should just be someone that you feel able to have that conversation with. So yeah, I think that was one of the things, the driving forces of it as well.
Yeah. Basically, the parts where they help you with your academic progress, I think. And I think one of the things I loved about this campaign was, understanding the sustainability around it, knowing that we did actually start from the scratch. This have been something that, past terms they kind of worked on, and, it keeps getting better every single year. It just keeps getting better. And this year it's about creating that awareness to actually let people know that they have a chance to be able to personalize their learning outcome. So it's just really amazing to know that something like this came out of a partnership project that have been before us, and it gets better every single time. So yeah.
You know what I'm thinking? I remember when we first came into the post, and I know, Georgie, I remember you talking a lot about it with the personal tutors, and there's a lot of start of the year. Is that kind of anything that can tie into what is being done now? And has there been a lot of movement from what we understood as a personal tutor last year, and coming into this year? I mean, have there been major changes? I know you were working on with Hannah and some of the other Sabs and Jane on the policy changes of personal tutor.
I think we've established this year that policy takes a bloody long time. You have all of these ideas, which all of our ideas are brilliant, but they they take a lot of time to implement. I think with my manifesto, I came into it thinking, like, I want all personal tutors to be trained in primary mental health, this, that, and the other, which still stands. But I also think I personally came into it thinking personal tutors need to do this, 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 and this. But actually, tutors are kind of a signposting avenue. So we all came together and created this signposting document that kind of allows personal tutors to actually access all this information in one go.
Can you hear me? Oh no, we've had a bit of a technical issue, which is, you know, I think it's a given now in this podcast. If there's no technical issue, there's one waiting to happen.
I know a lot of students who didn't, you know, meet their personal tutors. I know it was a obligation to meet them, but I suppose I know, Georgie, you mentioned previously about what to expect of a personal tutor, but what is the primary role of a personal tutor, and what should you expect from the position? And that's probably a really deep question.
I think yeah. Oh, go ahead. No, I was going to say, to start, I think what's difficult is students have so many different perceptions and expectations of tutors. So like there is that sort of way in which they're there to provide support through your academic experience, you know, and they are there, like Georgie said, they are your first point of call and they should be there to signpost you. But I think there's so many different experiences that students have differing expectations. Some go above and beyond, and you hear of your friends or students who say, oh, my tutor did this, and not everyone gets that.
Not to the fault of a personal tutor, but there's not kind of that consistency. There's not really like a designated remit for a personal tutor. It's kind of like, you're a personal tutor, go. And it's like, there's so many things, like so many facets to it, like you said, like academic support, areas of research, but then on the other side of things, there's pastoral support, welfare support.
Yeah.
Like being that kind of signposting champion in a way. Like you, as a personal tutor, you do have to kind of have so much going on in your brain at once. And I think from my perspective, because when I had my first personal tutor meeting in first year, I walked in and I was like, who is this bloke? Like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. I don't know why I'm here. This is all a bit weird and I'm not going to come again. So I literally went for one personal tutor meeting. And I think if I'd had someone that I really engaged with, or knew that because I'd walked in there and didn't really know what he was on about, and could have had the opportunity to go, you're not a great fit for me, not that you're not a nice guy, but I'm actually
don't click.
You just don't click.
Yeah.
So if I knew I didn't have to stick with it, then I think it would have been a great opportunity for me personally to kind of find someone else that could have potentially like signposted me to like different societies, different sports clubs, like just basically signpost you because we're brilliant and they'll fix it.
We are all undergraduates, so I suppose, Jane, is there a different experience for, obviously you're the only postgraduate student here. I mean, is there a different kind of, you know, personal tutors for postgraduate?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I think a personal tutor for postgraduate taught students at least would be on the part where they just give general advice on, they kind of track your learning and educational outcome, basically, and then they kind of urge you to, you know, in terms of, oh, are you getting your assessments done? How are your feedbacks and all of that? And they kind of try to make you work, implement those feedbacks as well, just not like, oh, okay, this is my assessment, these are my scores, that's it. They want you to implement that feedback, and then you just basically it's all about the educational aspect of it. And they have a senior personal tutor where if they're not around, the senior personal tutor kind of takes up their role. But usually it never gets to that point. I think it got to the point during pandemic because, you know, some persons had to work with public health wills and all of that. So there were not enough personal tutor for everyone. My personal tutor was well, I didn't know what to expect from her. So like my expectations were kind of, I wouldn't say low, but they were not there because I didn't know what to expect from a personal tutor. But she did great, I would say, and she did more of the signposting thing, and she kind of even advised me on some certain books. And in terms of course, I got a year later than everyone, so I started October. Everyone started in September. So statistics, she kind of make me signposted me to the School of Mathematics. They had something about statistics support and all of that. So it was like straightforward signposting and all of that. So at that point, I even thought she was trying not to like get involved with it. So I didn't know that the signposting was the whole of it. But she did much of that, and you could tell that she had the experience of the training. I think they have training for it. So she had the training, and you could tell that she knows that stuff, and she knows what she was doing basically, and she knows who I was supposed to meet. And in terms of academic advice, she just knew about that, and she knew, okay, you have to keep contact with your international student support, because she knew, oh, yeah, international students, keep in contact with them as well. And she talked about student support, and I think it was from her that I knew about the students union. So I didn't do my induction with everyone, so I did the whole induction from the students union, but she told me about it, and then she told me about their website and all of that. So it's kind of, it was really it was nice, really.
I think that's really nice to hear examples of your tutor like signposting, because I think, you know, this year when we've been, you know, trying to get together resources, it's because not all tutors know, and that's not their fault. It's almost like we're trying to create that gap, because, you know, they're given that responsibility, and I think it's quite a big responsibility if students are coming to you their first point and they're having, you know, whether that be a crisis or they just want help, to be able to know where to send students, you know, whether that be the Students' Union or whether that be international support. I think, you know, we're trying to fill that gap, and it's so lovely to hear of examples where that's already taken place.
And then come to think of it, right? I actually think that that the reason now most people don't know about this that you can actually change your personal tutor.
When I started, and this aligns with the preference system Georgie's on about, when I started, when I got to come in, and like we had this Google form where you preference your personal tutor and you would have research. It was based on research. So, you know, bearing me coming out of A-level, no idea what research I'm interested in, because like with biomed, there's such a big scope. And I preferenced it, and I had like neuroscience near the top, which is funny now because like neuroscience is actually a degree scheme, and like it's not my interest now, like particularly. But my tutor has such interesting research, and a lot of our meetings, he'll give us an insight to what he's working on. And I think that's a really nice aspect. And I know it'll be different for other students, but, you know, I think if we're able to provide that to them, or at least start that sort of journey of having that preference in there, you know, being able to have that interest and something to bring about discussion.
I found that so much personally through mine, like when I had because I didn't really have a personal tutor from first, second, or maybe I can't remember, I was probably meant to have one in third. But when I had my DIS supervisor, because we had such an interest in like our research areas, and they like complemented each other so much, and he was a guy as well, that like I felt that if I had any academic, or if there was any concern over anything else, I could just go to him straight away. And I do think like when it's kind of a bit of a balancing game, but like when your academia is kind of really well supported and your is really well supported, you're going to kind of excel in both. Really important, like for your personal tutor to potentially have similar academic interests, but also be that person that you can just go and have a cup of tea with if you're like, this is all a bit much today. Like,
do you know what? It's the same for me. And I remember, I suppose we were going to talk a little bit about experience later, but because I was a joint honours, I had two personal tutors, and it was a stark contrast between either one. But one of them, I always thought of it like not a counselling session, but they had this long chair, and I'd sit back, and they say, Luke, tell me how things are going, and we'd talk and laugh. And I always do think of it a bit of a counselling session, because we talk about studies and how everything's going. Yeah. It's interesting how much it can make, because you'd always come out thinking, wow, that was really good, and you kind of have clear goals on where you need to be and what you've fallen behind in, and having that academic support from someone who's done it, who's been there, who knows what works, what doesn't, in academically, perhaps sometimes in a well-being matter with coping with workload. It's useful to have that advice to say, look, you're doing fine, you're on track to do what you need to do. You know, stay calm. It's like me, I just stress about everything, and I think, I'm not doing enough of this, you know.
I always found that I'd come out of my personal tutor meetings, and there would be this element of like, I need to get on with this, and that motivation of them touch points, and they only happen a minimum of 3 times a year, and that's something we're also trying to work on. But some take place more often, and I think having them like points with people to just be like, what are you working on? How are you feeling? That really can spark motivation. And the more opportunity students have to do that, whether that be through their tutor or an academic or through us, like having them moments of like asking, you know, I remember in advice exec last year in the catch-ups, whenever it'd be like, how's your work-life balance? I'd be like, yes, how is my work-life balance?
There are so many positive experiences of personal tutors out there. And if your experience is that personal tutors aren't there for your academic interest or for your welfare support, then you need to raise that and you need to swap, because it's not fair and we're paying so much bloody money.
Yeah, that's it.
Money's worth for yourself.
Yeah. I think also it's really hard to say to someone or your tutor, like, I don't feel like I'm being academically supported, but also to be able to flag that to someone, whether that be you reach out to your, you know, your admin office and say, like, I'd like to request, and even mentioning that to them, because, you know, I think like sometimes academics don't know what you want, and it can be very confronting to say, like, I would like help on this. And I remember in first year and second year, sometimes feeling like I couldn't reach out to my personal tutor as if, you know, they had too much going on and I didn't want to ask a silly question. But then that's what they're there for, is to just provide that academic support. And if you don't feel that way, like Georgie said, you know, oh, my dog's making
I think something to say there as well is I suppose, you know, it's too late, but particularly for first years and students going in, if you're thinking that your first tutor is not great now, it's probably wise to start thinking now about changing, because these are people, they grow with you throughout your years in university. You know, and I remember my personal tutor from first year to last year. I mean, in the last year, you know, she was helping me with advice on my dissertation and work with me and on call, and she'd, you know, personal tutors see us grow. And if you've got a good one who gives you support, who understands you, it makes all the difference. So I think, you know, it's sometimes hard to say, oh, I don't think this is working for me, and actually, you know, ask for change. But
and I also think all lecturers within your school are also there for your academic support as well. So don't and think just because you're not getting on with your personal tutor, you can't reach out anywhere else. You can. And I think it's so important, like Hannah said, to kind of explore your options, go to your admin office and say, I'd really like to swap, and kind of give that feedback, because they need that to work on and to improve. But also, if you've got someone that you really get on with from a different module, reach out, because they're there to kind of support us academically and to teach. So if you've got one really bad experience, that's awful, and I'm so sorry, and there are kind of avenues to change it, such as the campaign says, but just reach out to everyone else as well, because they should help. They should be there to help.
I also think that, you know, if it's actually someone that you want to be your personal tutor, but for some reason you just can't reach out to them, like you just can't, you know, find that connection between you and them, but you know that they are very much experienced and you would like very much experienced than you wouldn't want any other person but them, you can as well try to build that. It's just about building trust sometimes. Just, you know, trying to let them know this is what you want. It's about personalizing your learning outcomes. So just try to tell them, okay, you want conversation to be more about academic, that you want to be able to track your academic progression, and you want them to help you, and you want them to kind of help you with the reflection and the planning, and, you know, in terms of everything about academics, that maybe you just let them know what you want. Let them know what you want. That'll be a start. And if nothing changes, then try and change your personal tutor.
I think that's good advice, Jane. And I think that's it, is like making it clear, and it can be confronting to do that. So if that isn't how you feel or would like to do it, then definitely just request. I don't know about you guys, but for me, a lot of students would say, you know, I would request, but then I'm worried about the outcome. They're worried about going into a tutor group that already have started and built relationships and may not be able to have that relationship for references, or they're worried that what if it's worse? And there shouldn't be that fear. It should be, if you're not happy, change. And then if that's also an issue, that's deal with it when it comes. You know, you don't want people to be put off changing or requesting to change because they're worried about it happening again.
Your personal tutor kind of tracks your academic progression. So when you kind of change, there's always this talk about how would the new one get to know every conversation that have happened before them, none of that. I would imagine that there will be a system of transfer.
Schools are lenient and they are flexible. If you're looking kind of at a strategic avenue of student retention, like schools want you there, they want you to succeed, they want you to do well. If you're really struggling with a personal tutor, they're not going to go like, oh, best of luck, like drop out then. Like they will support you. They are there to kind of pick you up and say, right, this is an issue. If you don't click with your initial one and you swap and it's really easy, and then you do fall into a position where you're like, this is really bad as well, that's okay. Like you're not then stuck. Like you do still have all the support around you to go, actually I really want to swap again. And it might be a bit more of it, like might be a little bit more difficult, not as straightforward, because you're going to have to actually kind of speak out and say, like, to your admissions team, not admissions, what's it called, admin team,
yeah,
and say and like voice your opinion again. But they're not just going to sit back and go, oh, you've done it once, you can't do it again. Like they want you to like succeed as well as you can.
Yeah. We're not here to just go through the system and, you know, they're randomly going to give us a personal tutor and they don't really care. They do care if you raise your voice and let them know.
What were your experiences with your personal tutors like? I mean, was it kind of hot chocolate and discussions, or was it
I didn't get any cup of chocolate or anything but she had loads of smiles, and she was really helpful. I think she and she just wanted to know, you know, in terms of if I was finding it easy and all of that. So she had this thing called she was one that I learned Dodo from dodo.com. I think that's the whole app that kind of allows you to pick meeting times and all. She makes use of that. She makes use of that, and she sends it to every TT, so you kind of pick your time, and she kind of adjusts everything.
We had the same as well.
She was really practical about that, and she wanted everyone to. So it was more of, okay, if you can meet me this Tuesday, what about next Tuesday? What about next other Tuesday? So it's just like it was really open, and she kind of, you know, was telling us it's one meeting per semester, but if you need more meetings, just let me know. If you need more meetings, just let me know. So she was really helpful. I didn't get any copper, any coffee.
I was just going to ask if any of you have had like group meetings or individual meetings, or was it a mix? Georgie, what about you?
No meetings.
No meetings. Literally, I am not the person, I'm probably not the person to have this podcast call. I had one meeting with said personal tutor, and it was just so, I don't even know. It was just not a meeting. And you know, like when you have your initial meeting and you're like, just have a chat and you're like, how are you doing? Like where from, what's home, what your interest? No, none of that. It was just like, this is me, this is what you're doing. Any questions? No, okay, bye. So, and then we didn't, in my school was different as well. We didn't have like any group meetings. It was always just kind of one-to-ones. But then in my third year, when we had that member of staff actually left, don't know why, but when I then had like one of my module leaders, and he was incredible and so lovely. And I remember having like my first meeting with him, and he was like, oh, I'm your new personal tutor, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you're lovely. Like this is meant to be like you're so nice. But no, from my school, it was only one-to-one meetings. I don't know about the frequency because I didn't go to them. And there weren't any really group sessions unless you asked them, I don't think.
Was it just me? Or I remember first year, I was always quite nervous, especially for that first personal tutor meeting, because I mean, these are the kind of, but they were kind of big in their field kind of thing. And I remember in my mind, I was so nervous. I prepared in my mind that I was going to say, oh, thanks for meeting me. Nice to see you or something. I knocked on the door, opened the door, and I went, nice. And I realised I really cogged up to say nice. They were looking at me like, right, okay, come and sit in. You know, like, it was just, I don't know, it's just a stressful thing for me. But then obviously, I just said nice, and it kind of came out like one went nice, and then realised I'd cocked up.
It's when you overthink it so much, and you're like, hello.
Yeah.
I think it's worse, isn't it, when you have the build up? Like if someone said to you, "Oh, go meet your personal tutor," you wouldn't have time to think about it.
For me, it was very Americanized as well, because when you think of personal tutor in America, it's always kind of like they work with you and they're like, you do this. And I didn't know what to expect with these things. From a language, we may have to speak in for me, it was French. So I remember us all lining up outside our French tutor thinking, you know, coming from me, I'm thinking, you know, over summer as well, thinking, crap, are we going to have to speak French to our personal tutor? drop out now. You know, by the end we did, but for that first year it was okay.
That's crazy. I'd be scared. We had group meetings and individual meetings with ours, and yeah, so we would go in as a group, and then we'd like all get kicked out, not literally kicked out, but you know, then we'd go in one at a time. And I really liked it because I really built a relationship with those in my tutor, got to know them, and I think that was a really nice aspect.
I wish we did that.
Yeah, then we had
because it feels like a good way to meet people, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I do remember when I came, I was like asking about why is there no study, peer-to-peer study, group of that, and I would imagine that if I had met everyone, that my personal tutor kind of tutees, like, you know, all the tutees and all of that, there would have been something like that, you know, build that kind of relationship. Everyone wants to like have a study group and all of that, just talk about assessment and all of that. So before we do the individual stuff, it's not been really nice, really. I love the fact that I love the group meetings. I think we should push that next.
One of my manifesto points was to push for a preference system, in a sense that you kind of get almost like bio bubbles for each personal tutor. They say like, I don't know what their name is, have a little photo of them, couple of interests, and then their academic research interests as well. I think it is important to remember that there's like in a lot of courses, there's a lot of content and there's a lot of areas of specialism. So if you can't kind of really expect your personal tutor to have, they should have an overview of the course, because if they don't, that's slightly problematic.
Not helpful, yeah.
No, but there's probably going to be areas at some point that your personal tutor doesn't specialise in, and that's when it's a good point to reach out to other so
many academics, and you know, so many interesting things that they do and study. You know, there's no harm in just asking, like, hey, can I put a meeting together to discuss what you do? Or, you know, the worst thing that could possibly happen is to them say, I'm sorry, I'm too busy.
For me, I don't feel like a personal tutor is, I mean, the personal tutor is very broad in terms of what they can do, you know, and it's for your progress, make sure everything's going okay. And I think there maybe need to be a separation there between, you know, module specific stuff where you go to your module, you know, lecture or whatever. And we often had meetings to talk through essays and things like that before they were due to with our module leaders. And then with your personal tutor, more general things, you know. So I don't think it's a thing that they may not be specialised in what you want to do.
A little bit easier with postgraduates, because usually your personal tutor have to be someone within your department, within a discipline. Right. Okay. So somehow they would always have they will share like a research interest with you somehow. Maybe not the predominant research interest, but somehow part of what they do would sit directly in what you're doing already. So it just like, it kind of fits a little.
You know, if I said to you tomorrow, you know, you can have a personal tutor, what is the perfect personal tutor?
I would say the perfect personal tutor is someone who can signpost appropriately, I guess, and you know, you just have to get on with the training somehow. I do know that all our personal tutors are kind of supposed to be experts in, you know, different fields and all of that. But in terms of the personal tutoring system itself, when it comes to handling people, there's just never enough training for that. So you can, you know, when you start from that first basic of getting that personal tutoring training, and then you get hold of our wonderful personal signposting document that Anna put together. Everything is there, like everything literally is in that signposting document.
I think signposting is something that is a big win for us, isn't it? Like, we've done a lot of work on that, and hopefully it will be well used and, you know, benefited.
And then I think also where I cannot stop it is that constant communication with your tutee. It's good enough for you to understand their academic progression and their learning progression, but it's also good enough for you to constantly communicate with them to know if there's any changes, or if at some point, as Anna have already said, that there was a time that neuroscience was on our top list, but now it's no longer there. It's good enough for you to always keep that communication and know when some things are changing.
You know, when you mentioned, it's interesting with the constant communication, because I feel personal tutors, often it can be just another part of the job, and you can really tell the difference, because for some it's just something they have to do, and it can be a chore to get all the students in, and you know, you come in, how's it going, all right, goodbye. But then for others, you can tell it's a passion, you know, it's not just another student coming in, they care.
Look, my housemate had, like, literally the other day, she showed me kind of a response from her personal tutor, and it was so lovely and so genuine and so kind of that she was in the role of a personal tutor for the right reasons, and it wasn't just kind of a tick box like add-on exercise. She, like, this personal tutor was incredible, and I'm sure she had our signposting document because her signposting like it was so lovely to see that there are personal tutors out there that actually really, really enjoy the role, and they do.
I don't know, but I feel like we could go on about this for ages. Like, personal tutoring and that element is just, there's always room for improvement, and that isn't because, you know, some aren't amazing, but like it's because there are amazing best practice that need to be shared, and there's going to be people who, like Luke said, some just don't engage with it as much as others. So I know Jane's mentioned what a perfect personal tutor is in her eyes, but like from you guys, you know, what else do you think?
I think it's quite important to remember that the whole reason you have personal tutor is for it to be like a personal experience. It's a one-to-one experience, and something in someone that suits one of your peers might be actually the opposite of what you need. So I think it's really important to compare, like healthily kind of compare, in a sense that if you're struggling with your personal tutor and it's not working, then, and someone else's is, then kind of use that as best practice. But also it's you need to be able to shape it and make it what you want it to be. If you want to have these personal tutor meetings to solely talk about academia and like you're just going down the research avenue, then that's great for you. Like if that works for you, that's great for you. But if you need that little bit more kind of support and leg up to support services and just have someone to check in, like you can tailor it to that as well. It sounds a bit naff, but like it is a personal experience with your personal tutor. You should be able to mold it to what you want.
I completely agree, and I always say, the cheesy quote, comparison is the thief of joy. And I always thought, in my mind, you can't compare yourself to other people. I know in my class some had personal tutors who would borrow them DVDs to watch in the language and do all these things, and personal tutor is very personal, like you said, and I think you can't kind of think, oh, this person's doing this, I want their tutor, I want their, because it becomes what you want it to be, So I think that I really agree with that, and it shouldn't be this is the difficult thing with the policy, I suppose, because you can try and say it should be one way, but really it kind of grows with how you want it to grow, and you kind of influence the change. Obviously, it may differ with if it's not very good and if the tutor's not very good, but ultimately it becomes what you want it to become and what you how you mold that.
Also, someone who inspires you, and you have that element of, wow, like they're an expert, they're a researcher, or they motivate you. Being inspired and motivated, I think, is so important, because as well as the general academic progress and having that relationship of communication, it's being at university and thinking like, but
gave me the giggles. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was really trying to.
We've lost it. We
have lost it. I think we should just take a wrap.
What?
I think educating yourself on the signposting document, that'll be coming out this week. Share it around, and I think just educate yourself as best you can, and just keep it on your phone, save it, and then be like, oh, I need advice on money or academic appeals or anything. And also just remembering that if you don't click, don't stick,
Love that.
It gets more naff every time.
Shall we announce, I know we've talked a lot about personal tutor, but shall we, I'm just realising how secretive our next podcast is. Can we announce it or not?
Oh no, I feel like we need to wait the anticipation.
Okay.
I feel put it this way, the next podcast will have special. All the sabbatical officers in. Yeah,
the Christmas special. It's going to be carnage.
There's only one request. You need to wear a Christmas jumper.
Yeah. I stole a Christmas hat from the SU. Is that okay?
That'll be perfect. This podcast doesn't have a name.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that.
We've mentioned like maybe Sab Chat or In the Bowl, because normally we're in the fish bowl. But like, if there's any names any of you or like any of you watching have, let us know, because we want a name.
Should we put it as like a poll? Because I'm the only thing is,
that's an idea.
If we do it in the bowl, I can just imagine people just like coming in and be like, "Hi," and it's going after pause every 2 seconds. What are our options? Say Sab Chat, In the Bowl.
Anything, literally.
Don't stick.
No.
Let the people decide.
Yeah, not with anything, or anyone else does. you know, I feel like we need a prize, like maybe special guests on the show if you got yours gets chosen.
One honour that is, Hannah.
Maybe a caveat to that, because if one of my friends comes up with it, they are not coming on.
Can you imagine though if someone's like, I want to suggest something but I don't want to go on? So don't worry, that's not a thing.
I was gonna say, if we put it to like a vote, we'll end up, we don't want to end up like, what's it, vote face or whatever it's called, you know, when they voted that vote name.
I feel like we need to send in your ideas. We'll put up a poll, and then on the next podcast we will discuss and see which is the name of the podcast.
Before we give this an end now, is there anything that you guys want to update with what you're working on, or signpost anyone to what you're doing or anything like that? Georgie, do you want to go first?
Yes, I was like, put me on the spot, Luke.
You're like, where do I start?
No, I'm just thinking like signposting wise. I've just started my one-to-one sessions every Tuesday, so from 3 to 4 p.m. Starting today, today, the day we're recording. I have one-to-one sessions that are kind of like book appointments. So if people want to just kind of have a chat about literally anything, either just to kind of have a catch up, or if you have any concerns that, you know, I can help kind of create a game plan for, or signpost out to signpost again. But yeah, I've got those one-to-ones which are bookable appointments. So if you just email me at vpwelfare@cardiff.ac.uk for those, and then 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, I just have like a tea and talk session. So it's just going to be like a group of anyone that wants to join. I think we're going to have Ella from Student Advice today. Any of the SABs or the campaign officers that want to join as well are so more than welcome. Just an opportunity for everyone to just kind of literally have a conversation about anything. Keep your eye out as well when we get back on campus for some fun surprises, because I found I'm in the workings of things. I think there's gonna be a soft launch for this campaign soon, but it's like my baby. This campaign is my child, because I have put so much time into it. I don't know, do I give a bit away?
Or do you want to say it for the Christmas special?
Oh, that's a good shout. Okay.
Christmas special.
I feel like we need to get everyone to bring
we've got a lot of surprises with the Christmas special, you know.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay. Jane, over to you.
Oh, hi everyone. So basically, not much to signpost, I guess. Apart from the few events that I'll be running through for Christmas, and for next year, I do have a movie night with you. So I think hopefully I'll be meeting some of you as well. And I know for some of you that, I know most of you read my newsletter, but for some of you who don't, well, I kind of mentioned that if you have any project, because I did get a request from 3 PhD students talking about student-led events that they wanted to run, and I had to signpost them to Doctorate Academy, because they actually have like a maximum of £100 that they can, you know, give students that want to start up events for other students, basically. So if we don't have that for postgraduate students, but I mean, if you have the idea and you want to lead it on, I'm here really. Just send me an email as well, and you can give me a call as well. Our contacts are on the cardiffstudents.com website, so you can as well get involved with it. And well, I know some of you have actually reached out about the movie night, and it's quite limited because of the social distancing thing. So I mean, if you're very much interested in it, please get a ticket. So it wouldn't be about.
What are you watching, Jane?
What?
Do you know what you're watching yet?
We are watching Ready Player One. So
that is such a good film. I watched it.
That is so amazing.
Me and Georgie need to go.
So amazing.
It's
really interesting. It's so amazing. I'm like,
yeah.
I had to pick it at the last bit because it was between it or game night.
Okay.
Right.
Next bit, we went for Ready Player One, so everyone could just have that conversation.
Yeah.
I
thought it's like a low key film, but isn't it Steven Spielberg? It's Steven Spielberg.
It's interesting. Everything he puts out is amazing. But you can get your ticket anytime from now, because I mean it's limited, so the earlier, I guess.
Hannah, it's a date. We're going.
Yeah, I mean, if we can go, we're in. Me and Georgie are like, we need to see this. Luke, what are you working on?
Yeah, so obviously societies are winding down now for the last couple of weeks with what can be done before Christmas as students go home. But we've got the winter showcase, which we're doing on the 11th of Feb. God, I'm skipping a month ahead. My God. So that's we've got lots of dance groups who are recording sessions, and we're going to put that out for you to watch throughout the day, and you can see your friends in different groups. We've still got activities going ahead across this week, and we're going to be warming up now for the big refreshers in January. So stay tuned for that.
Ooh,
I feel like every time that's why I say, have a good Christmas, but I'll see you before Christmas.
The one thing I wanted to say is about the education steering group that's up and running. I had so many applications and passionate students get in touch when I opened up the exec committee applications. And I just wanted to capture as many people who want to join the education steering group and just talk about education and bettering the student experience. So let me know if you're interested, and yeah, you can be involved. That's the only thing I wanted to push out today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Jane and Georgie, for coming along. We shall see you in our next podcast coming out next Thursday.
Which is, next Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
If you're going to take away anything from today,
Don't
I think
click.
it should be if you don't click,
Don't stick.
Go grab your doggies or your nearest.
Oh, he's really asleep. Look. Oh, Jane.
Oh, I love that. Jane, he looks like one of the teddies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yes. Ah.
He's gonna bite me.
What have you got?
I'm sorry.
What am I going to do? Oh.
I know. I picked my cat up off my bed, and he was like, "Meow."
Be like Hannah. Cut.
You're gonna have to boot him off the internet.
Just legged it out. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm on the move.
Can you please come and speak to me? Oh, my God. Baby, be friends with Shake.
Oh, it's a ring. Oh.
Oh my God, Luke's joking.
Sorry, I just choked.
I feel like I am the cause of most of the problems of the podcast. I have just
I mean, you said it, Hannah, but
you always remember your name and then your title. So I always say, Luke Evans, that's my name.